Hey, everybody. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Mia, how you doing?
I'm doing well for a Monday. How about you, sir?
I'm doing very good.
And so it's Monday when the two of us are here.
Same
Like, you know.
time, same place.
Yes. So welcome to Jay Goot Village, where you are being taught and you will learn and you will enjoy it how to travel as a business or first class travel at very low rates, like crazy low rates. And we're going to tell you a few stories today, by the way, my own story included, and some of the other people of how we used to travel. Me as a former travel blogger, right? I mean, I was getting sent all over the place. Now I've got my own little gig going with working with you all of learning how to travel without being like, having to write about it and work my way through it. I can just go enjoy. So here we are. All right. If you are here, please say hello. We've got comments. We're dying to pull them up. And guess what? What happens when you comment? What happens, Joel?
You get an entry into our $100 travel savings card
Yes.
auction lottery.
Yeah.
Where, we give one away every live stream to a random commenter. So the more participation, the better. We love it. We love fielding questions. We love getting to know you. And at the end, we'll just draw a random number of how many commenters we have and give one away.
Speaking of people that love to travel, Mira's here. We're going to be talking about you, Mira. She's hi from Rio. I mean, we're like hi from Denver, not as fancy. Not at all. So if you don't mind saying hi, saying where you're from, if you want to say where you're originally from and where you're living now, that's always kind of fun as well. Sam, hi. We're happy you're here too. Ken is here from California. And if you are having trouble getting your name and your profile picture to pop up, if you look here at bottom, it says visit StreamYard.com/Facebook. You'll be able to give permission to the app. It's not going to take any of your information, and that will show your picture. So it looks just like Ken here. Oh, Slobodanka is here again. Hi. We have OC. Oh, what were you going to say, Joel?
Slobodanka just joined the lounge. So look at that. We love when loungers come to join us in the free stuff, which is supposed to be, like you would expect that to be the fluff. But we do our best to just give as much value away on Mondays too. And if you like what you get there, we've got more for you in the lounge.
We do. And I will, if you are interested in the lounge, I'm just going to jump right into that. Just type the word interested, and Brooke, who is our fearless support system here at Jay Goot Lounge, will get in touch with you. We do have, let's just say this real quick. We have Vegas here in the house as well, from California, now in Maryland. And it looks like Sam is in AZ now, hot. Hi from Phoenix, originally from Brooklyn. I love it when people do this, don't you?
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to hear.
It's great to just get to know everyone, why they're moving, where they are, etc.
Yes. Hi from Green Bay. Hi, Joan. I wonder how nice it is there right now. Excited for my lounge appointment tomorrow. That's awesome. Can't wait to hear how that goes. We have Salt Lake City. And if you are joining us, obviously you're here in the village. We have, let's just talk about guides real quick, Joel, just because there's so much information that we give here at Jay Goot, which means just get out of town, by the way, in case you didn't know that.
So here we have, we'll come back to we'll kind of recap what we talked about last week because it was such a hot topic. Yes. But let's just kind of talk about Jay Goot Village versus Jay Goot Lounge. So you guys are watching us right now in Jay Goot Village. And there we go. So this is Jay Goot Village. You're familiar with this. And then, if you haven't found it yet, we have these guides section, which is it's just a gold mine of information that tells you all about the Jay Goot philosophy of travel. We have two very simple rules. Rule one is you look for the deals and you go where the deals are. It really is that simple. And rule two is a backup to rule one because you can't always find a good deal where you need to go. So rule two is have points as a backup plan. It really is that simple. The hardest part is getting past the idea that it can be that simple, because most of us want to say, well, I want to go where I want, when I want. And that's fine. There's a strategy for that. I mean, I'm going to a funeral next weekend and I have tons of points. We could have gone for free, but flights were $44 round trip.
Yeah.
We don't need to waste our points on that. So
that's right.
And they were so cheap, they splurged. We would have had to leave really early in the morning. We get to leave on an afternoon flight, and we splurged, and we're spending $100 round trip. So, I mean, that's going where the deal is, and we got lucky, so we don't even need our points.
Yes, and that's what I had to learn. I had to unlearn and then relearn. And I know that's what you teach too, is that, yes, this is $44, but if you use your points, they could have used so much more money or been worth so much more rather than just that $44. So getting out of that equal equals equal mindset, that was a tough one for me for a little bit. And then once I learned it, and I love, you'll see in the village, and if you join the lounge, that many of us, Brooke has done a post about that as well, of changing the mindset and how freeing that is as well once you get to it. Look at all those videos.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And the reason we started it this way, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, I'd rather read a blog post. Well, we did blog posts for 4 years. The Points Guy does blog posts. He has 12 million followers. And if that's how you learn, that's great. But what we learned is that most people need more support than that. And that's why we have Jay Lounge, because everything we teach is in kind of a watch over our shoulder as we book this $25 flight that other people are paying $2,000 for.
Yeah.
And, sure, there are blogs, and if that works for you, that's great. The Points Guy is a great one. Award Travel is a great one. 1 Mile at a Time, great one. Those are all free information. Those are how I learned. Problem is, it took me 4 or 5 years to master that. And what we've done is kind of boiled all that information down into an intensive coaching program that actually shows you hands-on versus giving you a blog post that you have to kind of figure out and read unilaterally versus an interactive video format.
I learned much better with the videos. We were talking about that before we started it as well, which I love that we're incorporating slides though into our presentations on Mondays. Very fancy of you to do that for us. And I appreciate that. So yes, if you just go up to the guide section, if you saw there was a video about us talking with Mira about her round trip around the world trip that she put, around the world in biz class for $896. And she breaks it down. I love it when Mira handwrites it. She's not playing. She writes that down. So
Mira is probably one of our most famous members. You can go see her travels right now in Brazil. She's kind of chiming in and sharing pictures of her trips. There she is. I believe they're wrapping her birthday trip to Brazil up right now. But she tells about that in that round the world trip, because this isn't part of that. This is another trip she's taking. So yeah, the guide section, the discussion section, those are two great places where you can find a lot of information about how to travel better and spend less, which is actually what we're planning on talking about today. The Pareto principle.
Which I love. So y'all, this is actually part 2 of this concept. We discussed this last week, and Joel busted out his knowledge on knowing what the Pareto principle was, which I was impressed. I was like, fancy way of saying 80-20. I was digging it for sure. But again, please keep commenting. I'm seeing a lot of comments. Throw your questions in here as well, because that's basically what we're going to focus on. And Joel, you'll see those too, whichever ones you want to pull up and jump into. But go over what we went through last week, and then we'll get into it.
Sure. Yeah. So please feel free to chime in questions. This is for questions, hopefully about follow-up about Pareto principle, but any other travel obstacles that you have yourself, and we can brainstorm about those. And just to recap what we talked about last week, this philosophy is very much in alignment with the Jay way of travel. 80% of the things out there, cruises, all-inclusives, car rentals, all of that stuff is noise that will really only move the needle 10 to 30% to fit with the Pareto model, an average of 20%. So all of those things combined, those might knock like 20% off of your trip. But two things in particular are entirely possible to move the needle by 80 to 100%. In other words, it's entirely possible to take vacations for entirely free by focusing on two things. Bargain flights that are such a good deal that you don't want to waste your points on them. Points for everything else. In other words, points whenever you don't like the prices of things that you're finding. And between those, you save, instead of going for free and having to turn your life upside down with tons and tons of credit cards, you go for 80 or 90% off. And it's infinitely easier because our philosophy is we don't want to manage tons of credit cards.
Yes.
There's just no need for it when you have like an organic balance of cheap cash trips and points for expensive cash trips.
I love that Brooke did on the post that she did as well. She said the common question she gets obviously the most is, how do you manage all these different credit cards? And go take a look at her post, y'all, if you are watching right now, because it gives a lot of information about, nope, we have 2 credit cards. And yes, thank you. That's such a perfect way to describe it, because I think we love to overcomplicate stuff. Mm-hmm. Humans do.
And we have that conversation almost weekly with new members in the lounge too. They say, oh, what do you think about this bonus? Whoa, let's slow down. Slow down. Let's make sure you have the right foundation first. And once you have the proper foundation built, you don't need to juggle lots of credit cards, because you have an evergreen system of points that you earn 3, 5, 10 times faster through all of the same spending habits. You just tweak where you're spending that money.
Yes. And so there are some modifications to behavior that we need to do. One, like I said, is unlearning things. Absolutely. Yeah. And then taking a look. One thing I wanted to mention that I love about the cheap flights is, if something happens and you need to cancel, like I'm going to New York next month and I got a JGoot flight from the notices that I get as being one of the lounge members. And, I'm seeing that the variant's coming up, the Delta variant's really coming up. And I have at least a comfort level that if I really want to cancel it and just don't feel comfortable, I'm not going to freak out about losing a ton of money.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's just one of my little things I've been thinking about. Like, wow, I won't feel so badly about trying to move it around. Yeah. Looks like we're getting questions already, by the way.
Cool.
And we do have some coronavirus questions in here too that I know Mira is answering. So you choose. I'm going to let you drive on which question you'd like to take.
All right. Well, let's jump in let's reward our earliest question askers. Let's see. Just back from LA.
Cool. Oh, I like this one.
Nail.
Yeah, I just got my eye too. That's awesome. I always think of Shawshank Redemption when I hear that. I would have never known how to say that without that movie. That's awesome. Here's one comment. We have a thread going in the village about the best way to locate upgradable flights, especially on American. I've used Expert Flyer and BA, but are there other better resources to figure out what days have availability? I said I was going to let you choose, and then I chose. Sorry.
That's great. That's great. You're better at multitasking than me. So let's leave that question up just to keep me on track.
I will. Yes.
So better days. I mean, as a general rule, if I had to take a guess, which that's always how you start anyway, I almost always assume that it's going to be cheaper Tuesday through Thursday. Most business travelers are traveling on Mondays and Fridays. Vacation travelers are trying to make it work with Monday through or Friday through Monday. So they can kind of capitalize on those weekend bookends. Yeah. And then Tuesday through Thursday are kind of those, it's just plain old supply and demand. That's a less commonly traveled day. So if I had to just start and pick a day, I would always just check and see, will going Tuesday to Tuesday work better than Friday to Friday or something like that?
I like that.
And as far as finding upgradable flights, that's a more complicated topic. It does have to do with, if you're going to choose between a couple different flights, you want to use various resources depending on the airline you're on to see which flight is less booked. Right. The less booked it is, the better your odds of getting a good price on an upgrade. Let's not go into the weeds with that, because we spend an entire hour-long session. We have a video. Brooke is one of our savviest first class upgrades. Well, Brooke and Mira have kind of
they're neck and neck.
On that
they
one.
Are, yes.
But yeah, I mean, they probably get upgraded to first a third of the time for like 20, 50, $60. And yeah, it's an hour-long topic because there are different strategies that you need to do. But Sure. Tuesdays, and if a quick, easy tip, Tuesdays, Thursdays are almost always going to have better flight times. There's always an exception, including my own funeral, or not my funeral, but the funeral that I'm going to next week.
Don't get crazy now, Joel. You're still here with us.
And, we're going Saturday to Saturday. Why? Because they have a sale on Saturdays. So that's what we're doing. And we're tacking on a few extra days in San Diego, because my wife has never been to San Diego.
Oh, that'll be fun. And that's an interesting concept to think about, because Saturday is in the middle of the weekend. So I think that's something to look at as well.
Yep.
Can we answer this one real quick? And I know Mira put that in there. Are you having issues traveling if you don't have the vaccine? I would be interested to hear if there are people who are trying to travel who don't have it.
Well, what I will say is I know that that's not a requirement for re-entering the U.S.
Okay.
Where you're going could be an entirely different story, including various states. So as a general rule, what we kind of endorse when traveling the Jay Goot way is find the deal and do your research after. Like when you find the deal, when your mouse is hovering over the buy button, just do a quick recon on the area you're going to. When we went to Costa Rica, they had a completely different rule. You didn't have to be vaccinated, but you had to buy the country of Costa Rica's insurance, so that if you got COVID, you were covered. Because in Costa Rica, they cover health insurance for all citizens, but they don't have coverage for anyone outside of their country. Yeah. So every country is going to vary. What I will say is, as of right now, there's no requirement for coming back in. You just have to have a negative test. Gotcha. But you don't have to have been vaccinated. But your mileage will vary depending on where you're going.
Yes, and I'm going to strongly advise you, don't bend the rules. Don't bend the rules. Yeah. You could end up in jail somewhere that even we can't bail you out, folks. So follow the rules. And then, I had a friend that's from Italy that went to Turkey to see his mother. And within the 5 days that he was there, the rules changed. And so when he came back to Italy, he had to isolate for 14 days. It wasn't like that when he left 5 days earlier. So just keep your ear to the ground, pay attention to things, keep looking. So I think that's the best, some of the best advice we can give on that. All right. What else do we have? I saw some good questions in here. Do you have anything queued up?
Well, here's a points question. Oops. Okay. You got one.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So Joe just said, I don't know if he's asking, but this is a good comment. He says to travel a lot for football, pro and college. Joe, sounds like you have a cool job. Unfortunately, I have to go when the teams are playing. I have a suggestion, but I want to hear yours because you always are in the know.
So the beauty of having two rules is that, it's not a hard and fast rule. In a perfect world, you kind of take half of your deals when you find a bargain trip. And half of them, that's not going to be the case. So you dip into your stash of points. So the more fixed travel that you have, instead of a 50-50 balance, it might be 60-40. 60% points, 40% deals that you just take advantage of and pay cash for. Right. And, you just once you kind of know the philosophy, have a good foundation of points, you just adjust it and you dip into your points a little more, and you might be a little more aggressive, maybe sign up for an extra sign-up bonus a year to kind of cover that difference. But again, it doesn't require going and getting 5 or 10 cards a year or anything like that.
No, and don't just keep, you may have to put a rubber band on your arm and snap it to remind yourself that you think that's the way that you need to go. And I'll tell you what's the perfect example. I was traveling when I was doing a lot of construction work down in Florida, and my client would book the trip and pay for it, but I got the miles. That was wonderful back in the day. that was fun back in those days. So if you're booking your own things, those are some good suggestions as well. What else do you have for reals? I'm going to let you pick, I promise.
Well, I just want to piggyback on that too. Like once you get addicted to using miles, once you learn that miles aren't worth just a penny a point, they can be worth 5 or 10 or 25 cents per point. In other words, if you have 100,000 points and you know how to redeem them, they don't. That doesn't have to be like a boring $1,000. sometimes for some people, it takes forever to earn 100,000 points, and then they redeem them for $1,000 in gift cards. That's not very sexy. And that's why most people get kind of down on the idea of point hacking. But once you learn how to redeem them for 5 or 10 or 25 cents, that same 100,000 points can be $5,000 to $25,000 in travel. There are all sorts of nuances to how you do that, but that's where it gets just really exciting. I mean, not that it's a lot, but our whole family, my parents and our family and my brother's family are all going in on flowers. And yeah, we're going to do that because you get 30 points per dollar spent on flowers. And, like you can, other people who don't care about points, you can just say, oh, just Venmo me the money and we'll all send it as a family unit.
Oh, those are fun, friends.
Yeah.
And you just, then you look like you're doing everybody a big favor. And you're like, no, it's all good. No, that's perfect. And it is a mindset shift as well to get into that. But I dig that. And that's the great thing also about the lounge is when you get in there, there's some pretty high level conversations that we have as well as our recording. So I get a little like fire hose of information when I'm there, but it's fabulous because then I can take it in, I can watch the videos again, I can comment and see how people are helping. So if you are interested in our travel coaching program, which is called The Lounge, you can type interested and Brooke is the woman for that.
Yeah.
I have one here. I want to pull this one up. This is interesting. And I think we do have a program about repairing credit, but Joel, this one, are there debit cards earning points? Recently had a bankruptcy, so credit cards are not an option. I did found a Southwest Dining card reward options that let me register my debit cards. So that's awesome. Speak to me on that one.
I don't know of any debit cards that earn points.
Okay.
Most of the credit cards, they have to be credit cards to my knowledge. I'm sure there's an exception out there, but I don't know of it. And B, they usually have an annual fee. What I would say is we do have a video and it's in the village about repairing credit. A lot of people, it's not as bad as people think. We often find people who think their credit is bad, but it's good enough for the point hacking game.
Yeah.
And there are also other things that you can do. One of my friends, I don't endorse this because I prefer kind of a more healthy balance. I don't like turning my life upside down with credit cards. But one of my friends has his parents in on the game. So he doesn't, he earns points himself. His parents just know to look for a new credit card every month in the mail. And he just signs them up. And between the three of them, they rarely have less than 5 million points at a time. And not to say that I endorse that, but if you have bad credit and you have someone close in your family that doesn't have bad credit, there are creative ways of handling that. So if you learn this skill, you can, you can go to your significant other. You could go to your parents and say, hey, I kind of know this thing. I know how to travel like a baller. But it does take, it takes credit cards and I need another year to repair my credit. You want to do this together. Just an idea.
The video is great because there were some things that I even did and my credit's gone up. My credit was okay, but it's even better because I took some of the things to heart, including adding in like my payment to Excel Energy, all these different things. So there's a lot of little different things that you can do that make a big difference. So don't, and you're right. Don't get overwhelmed thinking, oh my God, it's horrible. You need to really just have to take a look at it and face it and go, where am I at? A lot of times it's just that we don't even know where we are.
Right.
Even with the points or our credit cards and so forth. So let's see what else we have. I'd love a follow-up on finding deals on hotels and excursions once you found a cheap flight, which by the way, if you get picked today, you can have this travel savings card. And you can get some good excursions on that. But talk on that one, Joel.
Well, so two things. One of the first things we do in Jgoot Lounge is we have a 30-day challenge where if you open your trip alerts for 30 days in a row, you get a $500 savings card. And those are good towards hotels, towards car rentals, towards excursions, etc. So I applaud this person. We can't tell who it is, but I applaud them for yes, you find the cheap flight first. That's 80% of the equation that takes 20% of the effort. Yeah. And then, so two things I would say. One, bundling, whenever your finger is hovering over that buy button for the flight, just toggle over and check and see what it costs to add a hotel. Sometimes the discounts can be almost free. Like you can tack on a hotel for almost free. Sometimes it's an error in the algorithm. Sometimes it's a steep discount because they know you've already got your wallet out for the flight, and they just figure, hey, let's throw a steep discount at them for the hotel too. Wow. Always worth checking. So much so that's why, like my analysts, every time we send a trip alert to our subscribers, we also look up the flight plus hotel price. Nice. So always look at what the flight plus hotel price is, even if you are going to stay at a friend's, because sometimes it's actually cheaper to book flight plus hotel than it is the flight alone. Don't know why. Doesn't make sense. But all I know is it's, a rare glitch in the algorithm, and you can exploit it to your advantage. So that's point number one. Point number two is kind of like what we're doing next week. Nowhere in Southern California is cheap for hotels. And where we're staying is staying at two different places. And they're between $300 and $600 a night. And we're using points. So we're going for free. We're literally like, we're taking not 44, but $100 flights because we didn't like the time of the $44 flights. So we scrolled down, found better options. Yeah. And our entire stay is free. So we're not burdening our friends. We're not staying with them. We're going to show up the night before. We'll come to the services. We'll visit with our friends afterwards. And then we're going to go off on our own and stay at some pretty posh places entirely on points because we don't like the prices. So points are a lot better.
Yes. And I love that kind of expansive thinking. So it's not just, I can only do this, and so then I have to book it here, but it's thinking outside the box, maybe getting something with that bundle as well. So yay, good question. I like that one. All right. We talked about the debit card one. I need to know how to get a better class ticket for less and where to find.
So that's, again, depending on how many points you have, that's always a great way. But just plain looking every day. So many people look over this and they say, oh, that sounds like too much work. You got to look in the right places. We have other videos in our guides section where we talk about where to look depending on your needs. If you have specific dates, you're going to want to use certain features of Google Flights. If you're more flexible on dates, you can use their Explore feature, which will find you even better deals. But again, it's one website that you go and you look and they show you the prices of everywhere in the world. Every once in a while, when something jumps out at you, you grab it. But if you're not looking every day, you don't have that opportunity to grab it. So, and again, this is one of those mindsets that you got to get past. So many people think, oh yeah, I'll get around to planning that trip when I'm ready to plan a trip. The 80, 90% off deals don't wait for when you're ready to plan it. They pop up, they're gone in 48 hours, and you don't even know that you missed them.
And I would love to hear some stories if we have some of our loungers that are in here, or just people that have been viewing of trips like this specifically that they took. So for instance, for me, it's this New York trip. I'm going back to my old stomping ground that I moved from New York City to here. So I'm originally from Illinois, moved to New York City, then moved to Colorado. So I'm going back to that middle part of my life to celebrate. But it was basically a deal that I found because I'm a lounge member. I get the notifications every morning about really cool that your algorithm folks put all together, your researchers. So we know all that. Where is the guide section, Joel? Do you want to show us?
Yeah. So let's see. Let's just go back so you're watching this video on Jgoot Village right now.
Yes.
And you can there's this menu up top. If you're on a computer or on a phone, this menu up top, you can just go to, there's literally a section called the guides. And guide 1 is various examples of rule 1 of the Jgoot way. That's your look every day and go where the deals are philosophy. We've got both examples and case studies of people who found cheap trips and did it. Down below that is rule number 2. And these are different examples of, we have a video of 1 and right now 2 different cards that are worth all of the other cards combined when you know how to use them. and again, it's about quality, not quantity. It's about choosing the right cards for your needs so that you can get 5 to 25 times as much out of those cards. When you can do that, you don't need to juggle dozens of credit cards. So that's rule number 2. And then if that doesn't convince you, if you think that sounds like a lot of trouble, you can go and look at our testimonials and case studies of our actual clients who have learned to travel this way.
Mm-hmm. I think a big key to mention too is don't look at these and say, I want to do that exact same thing, because these are case studies. So you're going to find your own magical trip that's going to work that way. But if you're looking at, I mean, of course, my eye was drawn to how somebody went to South Africa for $1,000. I'm like, God, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. So yes, I may find a different version of that, but just start kind of dream big, but don't get pigeonholed into thinking I want to do exactly what that was. But you will come up with your own way of pulling that in. I'm going to pull up the Goo Cards banner real quick, and we can talk about that because I think we do have some questions about cards. How about this one? Are you ready, Joel?
So let's talk.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So on the jgoot.com/cards, let's talk about our link versus everyone else's link. So most of the other places that you see are on commission. Their job is to, their entire company is built on affiliate commissions by selling you on certain new credit cards. Nearly all of the bloggers out there, that's how they do. And that's great because they provide great information and they should be compensated for that information. Right. The problem with that is it's a bit of a conflict of interest, because if a crummy card is paying a high commission, well, then they're going to recommend it because that's how their bills get paid. Whereas ours, we only recommend cards our actual experts use. So we've got 7 experts in the lounge who all travel this way. They all spend 5, 10, 15 cents on the dollar compared to the average traveler. And, they've all been there and done that. And what this is how we reward our experts for being so generous with their knowledge, as we give them referral points, because most of us know how to do a lot more with points than pennies. So we'd much rather have points. So if you go there, you're getting only about 30%, 20, 25, 30% of the normal cards that are recommended. It's only the ones we use. So by definition, that's getting rid of all that extra noise for other cards that aren't as valuable. And then 2, we're not as swayed by commission. We get paid to have a small group of customers that we give a lot of attention to. Yes. So, we're not, our recommendations aren't slanted by the commission that those credit cards pay.
That's right. So, and think about it of even what the rewards are for you use one of these cards that one of our members, they know how to use those points. So it's just going to be, it's just like, refer a friend and get $10 back. Obviously that same kind of concept that they're going to get a referral fee, but we are not, it's because we are actually walking the talk on this. I'll just say that. Yeah. How about this question? Joan, sad face. I was going into the link to sign up for Amex Plus Platinum with you guys. So using the reference, the link we were just talking about, and it was at 125,000. Ended up getting sidetracked, and I've been sick for the past week. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you feel better. And now I went back, and it's at 100,000. Do you know if it's going back up? So explain what she's talking about, and then answer that question. Yeah.
So those offers are they've always just been 100,000. Occasionally they have something that's called a targeted offer. And if you're kind of in Amex's sites or Chase's sites, and they'd really like to obtain your business from whatever credit knowledge they have about you, then sometimes that offer will be higher. Sometimes, so it may be that at some point your credit score was higher. Unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot you can do to manipulate those rules. What you can do is, if you have, we'd love if you use our link, but if you have a spouse or a significant other, or a close friend who has the card, you can get a referral, and like what goes around comes around. So they can get referral points by referring you to that card, and that's exactly what jgoot.com/cards is. So we get referral points by sending you there. But hey, if you've got a significant other, by all means, use their referral link, because you guys are significant others.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody is. And this answers whoever's question this was, which American Express card should I apply for? And that is the Amex Platinum.
Correct. So as of right now, as of the time of the recording of this video, the two top cards that we recommend, A, because of ease of use, B, because of flexibility of those points, and C, because of the massive point potential, we recommend the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Right now, we're recommending that over the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Right. Because it gives so many more points than the Reserve. It's pretty hard to make up for that difference. The second card we recommend is the Amex Platinum, and you can find those both on that link.
Yes. And here's a good question.
Yes. Quick thing. I just looked at my wife's account. We got my wife and I got the first new card that we've applied for in 3 years. I mean, that's how little you need to juggle points when you have an efficient earning system. She got 200,000 points just from her Amex Platinum in 6 months, and we did not spend $200,000. We didn't spend 100. We didn't even spend $30,000. We got 200,000 points from just using our Amex Platinum card the right way.
It's such a good point too. Of we want to be very clear that this is just your normal spending. This is not, I've got to spend a bunch over here and buying some things. You buy something, well, it's really, really on sale, but you may not have needed it. We're not getting into that kind of thinking at all. So I think people get confused about that. And understandably so. That's the way the market is made to look at times of like, you got to, really spend a lot just to earn a little bit back. And we're not doing that here, but go Michelle with the 200,000. Dang, lady.
And again, that
power couple.
Most people would think, oh yeah, 200,000, but that's still only $2,000. Not worth the trouble. That's 2,000 worst case scenario. Best case, that's $50,000 in luxury first class travel that most people would normally never even think of spending real money on. But when it's points, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, it is not 2,000 in cash.
Right.
And like you said, that's worst case. All right, so here's one. If you already have the top credit cards listed and I had no idea how to use the points for travel, is there still the possibility to make good points since I won't be getting a sign-on point once again since I have the cards?
Okay, so two parts to that question. The first one is, remember, it's not always just about the sign-up bonus. It's also just about everyday evergreen earning of 3 points, 5 points, 10 points per dollar spent on your everyday normal spending. Travel, dining, advertising, if you own a business, that's huge. So we call that kind of our intermediate section where you get into earning multipliers. Sign-up bonuses are great, but every time you get a sign-up bonus, that means a new card that you have to keep track of. The more cards you do, the more you risk missing a payment and hurting your credit, not helping it. So it's all about having the right cards that are easy to manage. So that's part number one. You don't necessarily need to go and chase new sign-up bonuses. And that also solves the problem. Like if you already have the top credit cards, those are the most valuable cards. So they already have those earning multipliers built in. Ratchet up your watch every day so you don't have to rely on those points. Guarantee the next trip you take will be a $150 flight to Mexico that most people are paying $500 for. Then you get to save those points. They get to accumulate for when you really need them.
Which is great. So, and that's the Jay Goot way right here. So I love it for whoever this person is, that yes, you feel like maybe I missed out on that, but in a way now you're set to do the Jay Goot way, which is look every day for the cheaper trips. Don't start using those points just because you have them. Start learning how to use them best, and then use those points for these things where it's worth a lot more than just the dollar for dollar.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good question. So yay you, whoever that is. A good look. And by the way, Joel, you don't look dead.
Oh, good.
It's like when somebody goes, "Oh, you look so tired." You're like, "Okay, thanks for that." Don't say that to people. All right. Can't travel to China for tourists. COVID. Would love to hear more about how Mira arrived in Brazil since I can't travel to Peru and hope to visit Rio on the same trip. John Smith.
I would say that we should probably tag Mira on that, and she'd be glad to answer that. I don't know Brazil restrictions. Mira and Katie both do. Those are two of our experts inside the lounge.
Yes. So they'll respond to you on that.
Yeah. And again, that's not me ducking the question. That's because, I always like to be fully educated on the places I'm going, and I don't have any immediate plans for Brazil. So
yeah, but we have somebody that's and I want to point this out as well. So Mira has come on board with us as now she's one of our experts, but originally came on board with she was a travel agent experience. Already answered it. She says, thanks, Mira.
And that's the beauty of all of our experts. Mira, let's talk about Mira for a second. So Mira was already an avid traveler. They already traveled at least every other month. They joined the lounge. She took notes. She went through the home study course twice, I believe. I think she said she's on her third time. And she was we get a lot of people who say, I don't even know what I didn't know. But every time, and she attends all of our live streams, even when she's on vacation in Brazil. And it's paying off because she's learning little bit by little. All of us learn little by little. I take notes from our other experts. And it's kind of like learning to master the piano. There's never a finish line. You can continually just get better and better and better. And it's more and more rewarding.
Yes. Yeah. You can still maybe play chopsticks, or you can get really, really good
right.
and go upscale on that. Joe says he is booking his trip to Charlotte later for the Clemson, Georgia game. He could use that $100. Well, our fingers are crossed for you, Joe. Comment some more, and that way we'll know for sure. So it looks like we have some more comments up here. Anything that's jumping out at you want to answer?
I saw a couple about points. One, Beth says, how is the American Express Gold instead of Platinum? It depends on your personal needs. So the Platinum is very good for upfront points. Like they call them earn and burn points. Like I said, Michelle and I earned 200,000 points. We'll exceed 200,000 in the first 6 months we have the card. The Gold has other category bonuses. They pay a lot more for groceries. They pay a lot more for dining. They pay a lot more. The Business Gold is advertising. I don't know all the nuances, but those are things that you want to research on your own if you need the points. This is another thing that is one of those mindset changes. So many people, when they decide to get into this, want to jump in and go 1,000 miles an hour and get every sign-up bonus up under the sun and collect 1 million points because they read somewhere that someone else has 1 million points and that's what you need. When you know how to redeem points for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, you don't need 1 million points. 100,000 points is a lot. And you need those points even less when you look every day and find cash bargains that you would be silly to waste points on. So the big thing I would say is really think about having a solid foundation, having a card or 2 or 3 cards that are earning 2 to 5 points per dollar spent so that you're earning those free trips 2 to 5 times as fast. And then you double that effectiveness by looking every day and only needing free flights half of the time.
Yes.
So I would really this is a very common question. What do you think of the Capital One? What do you think of this Frontier sign-up bonus? What do you think of this? Oh, United just went up to 80,000. All of those, I would still take 100,000 Chase points, 100,000 Amex points. I can take those 3 to 5 times as far as 90% of the other cards out there.
I know.
Like I said, I don't chase them. We travel more than average. We don't travel more than all of our experts. Some of our experts travel more than us. But we only needed 1 sign-up bonus. And we didn't even need it. It was just too good of a bonus not to pass up.
Sure. And I love how... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we've got tons of points, and we're not panicked about running out of them because we know how to redeem them efficiently. And those are the nuances that we teach inside the lounge. This all sounds like a lot, but we break it down into modules, just like this with Jagoo Village. We have a home study course that I'll pull it up in a minute.
And what I love too, what he's saying is everybody slow your roll. Don't get crazy, right, on that. So, and that feels opposite because you can get that sense of urgency, that FOMO. You see points guy. I mean, the points guy is exactly that, the points guy. And so you're like, oh, I have to have, don't be a size queen is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, look at this.
So this is our home study course, and it's broken down into beginning, intermediate, and advanced strategies. You go through them at your own pace. You then go into our private Facebook group and you ask questions that come up as you go through the curriculum. We also have an in case of emergency. So if you have an emergency and you don't have points, well, you have no other choice but to get creative. And we have what I call 10 Hail Marys, where we just show you 10 Hail Mary plays that I use myself. I do them in this order every time I need to book a flight. And whether or not I have the points, I do this first anyway, because if I can find, like our funeral case, I didn't go past step 1. I just played with the dates and found $44 flights.
Wow.
I don't need any other plays. Hail Mary play 1 worked. And we have 10 plays that you can do if you don't have enough points, or if you're hoarding your points for a big, lavish, expensive trip or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the big thing is to, when you jump in, take it a bite at a time and just kind of learn that. If it doesn't make sense to you, ask questions, because we have lots of travelers who are now evangelists, and they'll jump in and say, oh, I thought that too. And then here's where it clicked. And, it's a community of people that are all learning to up their game on travel and all willing to share their perspective on how the Jagoot way is working for them.
And here's the great thing too, and I can't tell on here, but I know what's happening, is that a lot of these questions are getting answered as we're talking as well, because everybody's going to have their own different experience. And that's the cool thing too I love about the lounge is we're all different types of travelers. And I see a question in here from a woman who says she is a solo traveler and wants to know about traveling solo using points. There's a couple other good ones here. And by the way, we're about 45 minutes past the hour. So keep your comments going in about 10 minutes or less. We are going to announce the comment name or the comment number. We're going to have to count them up when we're done. So we'll let you know who the winner is. And we promise. And actually I will show, we did that last week. I showed the random number generator. So it didn't look like I was fudging on that one. It was a good one. So, yes.
Solo traveler.
Yes. Let me see where she is. But if you can just go ahead. Yeah, that was basically.
So this is a common assumption that people make too. Oh, I'm a solo traveler. I need someone to go with before this becomes affordable. There are all sorts of ways you can do this affordably. Like Michelle and I did, we're staying an entire week and we're not paying a single penny for lodging. And we're staying at some pretty posh places. So points are a great backup plan for that. Same exact philosophies. Instead of teaching you like how, just go spend points whenever, we teach you how to know when you should use your points and when you shouldn't waste them. And it's a better value to do cash. We show you how to find values. One of our travelers is a solo traveler. When he doesn't have a girlfriend, but with all of his travels, he tends to pick up lots of girlfriends who want to travel with him. But before he joined Jagoot Lounge, he had been to 5 countries. He stopped counting after 75. And it's all because of this philosophy. And he prefers hostels or budget hotels because he's out there adventuring and seeing the town, and that's just where he lays his head down, and he finds places for $5 a night.
That's not our type of travel, but I love it that we get the good ideas from it too. We have a bunch of questions. We're going to try and bust through some of these really, really quickly. By the way, Joe says Little Italy in San Diego has a great farmers market. Boom, cool. There you go. Yes. So rapid fire, how far in advance should we be looking for deals? Example, Hawaii in 2022, only one airline showing flights. And when will all airlines be showing fares?
I love this question because this is an example of starting to bridge the gap from the traditional way of thinking to the Jagoot way of thinking. So great question, but there is no magic number. Sometimes there are deals that are in 2 weeks. Sometimes there are deals that are 10 months away. What we've found is the significant discounts typically start about 10 months out. And what happens is airlines, they've got big fancy computers that keep track of all this stuff, and their computers spit out a warning and say, hey, we're flying to Hawaii. 10 months from now, and we're only 6% booked. We need to be 10% booked, or we're going to have to cancel one of these flights. And so they slash prices on 6, 10, 12 seats and practically give them away. And the people who stumble across them go for 80, 90, 70% less.
Sure.
Which so the idea is
every day
rather than stumbling across them, you look every day. And when you see something that strikes your fancy, you go. Maybe it's Hawaii, maybe it's Costa Rica, maybe it's in June, maybe it's in July. But either way, it's a lot easier to look at your calendar and see if you can make a 90% off deal work than it is to try and force a deal into the tiny little window that you have in mind, especially if that tiny little window only involves one destination. Let's just look at Google Flights real quick.
Okay.
I said rapid fire, didn't I? So you ask another question and I'll queue up
let me see
example.
if there's one that's close in that. These are all credit card and points questions. So how do you become a globalist with Hyatt or Hilton? I bet this has been answered already. In addition, you said 2 cards was the minimum. But if Amex and Chase Sapphire are the 2, then how do you become globalist?
So Hilton doesn't have globalist. They have gold. I think they have higher than that. But if you get the Amex Platinum card, you're automatically a gold status with Hilton.
Okay.
There you go. Slam dunk. Hyatt takes a little bit more work. Right now, the requirement is 30 nights in a calendar year. We have a course on that, on how you could do 30 nights rapid fire without even checking into the hotel. Without even staying a single night in the hotel.
Yes.
So there are hacks for that. You can earn that status. You can buy that status, or you can do it how it's intended by staying nights and getting that status. So there are all sorts of ways to skin that cat. And we have a couple lessons on that inside the lounge.
Awesome. How'd you do on Google Flights? You're going to pull that up real quick.
Yep.
And then I have one other card question. Then we have a couple more. We've got some time. Let's see.
Can you pull up the screen? I'm just going to toggle to several months out.
Yep.
I don't know. Let's just pick Thursday to Thursday.
Okay.
So here's the idea. Most people say, I want to go to Hawaii in this example, February. But if you just say, what deals do you have in February? And let's just say that, February 10th to 17th is when you have off. Bookmark that page and watch it every day. It takes like 30 seconds. And as you can see,
you can set your
take all sorts of trips.
Yeah.
And you can say, I don't want to spend more than $100 or whatever. And they'll just say, here's where you can go. If you don't like what you see, look again the next day, because one thing I guarantee is it's going to change.
Yes.
This actually surprises me that there aren't more flights for cheaper. But again, that's because we're painting ourselves into a corner on a specific time frame. If you can play around that. If you're more open on dates, you can find more deals.
Yes, I love it. And that is my Frenchie sneezing in the background, by the way, if that came through, because it sounded really loud on my end. All right. With respect to cards, we have an easy 30 to 45 minutes from Midway in Chicago. So Southwest Visa is my evergreen card right now. Domestically, I've used the points for funerals, surprise birthdays, etc. I think that was more of a comment than a question. And I like it because who's our Southwest
Stephanie.
fan? Stephanie, that's right.
Yeah. So Stephanie's an expert, a Southwest expert. And I love Southwest. What I would say is they're pretty mediocre points. You can do a lot better unless you have the companion pass. The real value of Southwest is not in the points themselves. I would rather have a Chase Sapphire card, unless, even if you have the companion pass. But it is great. It's a quick source of points. And as long as you have that foundation of points, they'll definitely get you out of a bind.
Gotcha. Okay. And I see that pulled up with the flights. That's so fun to look at those, like just, crapshoot, throw the dice. Where we going to? That's awesome. So yes, so that's Google Flights. And that is the one thing. And I know Brooke always comments on that too, of like, just put in Denver 2 and you leave it open.
Yeah. And they'll just show you anywhere in the world. Look, here's where you can go today, in February, anywhere in the world for under $1,000. And again, the biggest reason these prices aren't better is because we're painting ourselves into a corner on dates. Get more flexible on dates, the deals get exponentially better.
Yeah, just set that up every day. Be like, where are we going to go to? Which, as being part of the lounge, I get the notification from you about that. Here's a good question. My wife and I go back and forth on if we should get a cashback card, Costco, Visa versus Chase Sapphire. I know the answer to this. Can you help me with the financial calculation to help me explain why we should do travel points versus cashback card?
So cashback is cashback. You get 100,000 Costco rebate points because you own a supermarket and you buy lots of stuff. You get, if it's 2% cashback, you get $2,000. No more, no less.
That's it. Cash to
if
cash.
If you get 200,000 points, that's worth 2,000 minimum to $50,000 in travel. It's all about learning how to manipulate those points and turn them into a lot higher value. I've flown in Michelle and I both flew in a private suite. This is our personal record. It was a $12,000 private suite for 50,000 points. Ugh. So $1,000 worth of cashback points we used as frequent flyer points instead, and got two $12,000 flights. So $24,000 in value out of 100,000 points.
And it's in some of our shows in the past about this trip.
You can find that in rule number 2 of the guides section.
Yes, you can. Hey, Brooke, if you have a comment number for me, we are coming up at the end. Oh, look at that. I literally refreshed and there's my message from Brooke, which is awesome. So let's see. Let me do a share screen. Joel, if you want to see if there's any other comments, and then I will pull a number.
Cool. Well, then why don't we just wrap that up? Like, anyone interested in the coaching program, we're very proud of the fact that if we don't think it's going to be a fit, we don't want your money. We don't want the bad press. We'll send you directly to the videos that we do think will help you based on your needs. Mm-hmm. If we do think it's a fit, in other words, if we think that your investment will pay for itself in the very first trip, well, then we'll tell you about prices and see if our coaching program is a fit. So if that's the case, type interested. We'll set up an appointment. We'll have a personal conversation with you. You will find out about your needs, and we'll go from there.
Joe is appreciating my Frenchie right now. Vinny and Joey. Gidget decided to come up and be on screen. Hence, this is Gidget the Frenchie. All right. I think we're probably at about 118 because we got a few more people comment. So Joel, you want to do a thank you. 84, ladies and gentlemen. So comment number 84 is the winner of our $100 travel gift savings card. And that, Joel, show them what that looks like.
So yes, great for $100 off of hotels, over 1 million hotels worldwide, car rentals, or excursions or activities.
Yes. And I mean, that's the fun thing too. When you start saving the money, then you have more money to do fun stuff that you probably wouldn't do if you were a little broke because you spent too much money on your flights. Right. That's my party line. How's that? Oh, she's all right. It's time to go.
That's what we like, just to bring this all back home again. Like this is part of the 80%. You find your cheap flights. You use points as a backup. After all that, you decide if, you need a little help saving on hotel or car rental or excursions or whatever.
Yes.
Don't spend lots of time on that. Spend time on flights and hotels.
Yes. And everything else works itself out. All right. On behalf of myself, Gidget the Rescue Frenchie, and Joel McDonald, the man behind Jgoot, that's it for this week. So we will post the name of the person who's the winner of the gift travel card. And then we're here every Monday. Tip your bartenders and waitresses.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.